The Ancients are returning, and with them, the world of Path of Exile 2 is likely doomed. Why? Well, it's the Fourth Edict, of course, first referenced by the current-day final boss of Path of Exile 2, the Arbiter of Ash. But to explain what I mean, to explore this PoE2 lore mystery, we must decipher what we know of the three prior Edicts of Wraeclast, or what we think we know about them, and how they likely shaped the entire narrative of both Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2. The Third Edict is the clearest of the four we know of. It is a plan crafted by the Precursors, who we believe are also the Ancients who are returning, to forever kill the entity known as the Beast, the source of all thaumaturgy in Wraeclast. But even this is a bit murky, as all the worldly characters we know, Doriani and Sin, assume the Third Edict was indeed meant as an order to kill this all-powerful creature, as all the depictions in the world do hint toward that conclusion. But perhaps it was enacted as a way to control the Beast, to combat it, just as I believe the Beast was created to combat something else. I reckon the Second Edict, which we know very little about, was the initial creation of the very first seed of corruption, which eventually evolved into the Beast, bringing corruption into the world. It's hinted all four edicts are put into place by a being called the Mothersoul, an enigmatic figure we've heard and seen very little of. We know she created the Arbiter of Ash, who is a construct, and that it's likely the Precursors forged him to protect the flame seed in the burning monolith, which is instrumental to the Fourth Edict, which we'll return to in a moment. The Mothersoul, I theorize, is a precursor, is an ancient. In fact, I think she's the primary statue we see rising from the earth in the very first Return of the Ancients trailer. And Grinding Gear Games is telling us the Mothersoul is returning to fully put the Fourth Edict into motion, which the Arbiter of Ash states is already burning for our world. But back to the Second Edict, which I think was the creation of the seed of corruption, the Beast, and corruption itself. Why was this evil magic, this thaumaturgy, brought into Wraeclast by the Mothersoul? Well, just like the Third Edict, an instrument to kill or control the Beast, the Second Edict was introduced to combat something else, the First Edict. Imagine we're in the elder days of Wraeclast. We have the Ancients and we have the Mothersoul presiding over them. We also, I think, have humans, the only real race in Wraeclast. In their earliest years, the Asmiri are the primary ones we know of residing in these distant times. We also have Sin, who lives amongst them, who we believe was once human before he became a god. And I say that we think Sin is a human, but it's possible he might also be a precursor, an ancient himself, and he just does not know it. He lived during the times of the ancients, but remembers very, very little. And what are gods in Wraeclast? They are beings of immense power, propelled to this strength by the faith of humans and by divinity, this intangible force, just like corruption, which pervades all of Wraeclast. And I reckon it wasn't always part of the world. It was brought forth by the Mothersoul in the First Edict. She, for reasons we don't quite know, sought to give greater agency, greater power to humans, so she blessed the world with divinity. It's almost like giving them fire. However, when certain humans absorbed this divinity, all was not as the Mothersoul thought it would be. Many used this divine power for evil. In fact, most of the gods we know of were vicious and brutal. This is the story of Path of Exile 1's second half. In an attempt to combat this, the Mothersoul enacted the Second Edict, bringing a countering force to Wraeclast, corruption. The source of it? The Beast, and all the Beast spawned forth, like virtue gems. This gave humanity a fighting chance against the powers of divinity. However, then corruption took a hold and the Mothersoul needed a way to combat it, hence the Third Edict. Alas, if that wasn't enough, there was always a failsafe, a way the Ancients and the Mothersoul could completely wipe the slate clean and bring forth a new era of Wraeclast. In comes the Fourth Edict. This scene in the excavation map of Path of Exile 2 depicts the Ancients' problem perfectly before the winter of the world. It shows here that the scales between divinity and corruption, the soul of Wraeclast itself, the heart of Wraeclast, it's out of balance. So they forge a weapon, an instrument to pierce the heart of the beast, the source of corruption, to try to control it so that it does not overwhelm divinity. And this right here, this is a clock. It's showing that the time of Wraeclast, it's running out. It's over. This is talking about the Fourth Edict, how the Fourth Edict must be implemented and the world must be wiped clean and burnt anew. Quite often, creation myths and greater mythos in our own world involve a great reset, a time in which the omnipotent beings, no humans, have gone too far and need to be purged and start again. This is the Fourth Edict of the Mothersoul, and it's all locked within the Flame Seed. I think the Fourth Edict is a mass apocalypse of the world, a way for the Mothersoul and the Ancients to bring forth a new Wraeclast, to reform it in fire and smoke, like a phoenix from the ashes. This was always her plan. What would be done with divinity and corruption if they would not balance each other out and they couldn't be controlled with the help of the Third Edict? However, before the Mothersoul could enact it, the Ancients were buried? Locked away? Did they flee from the winter of the world and the abyssals? We don't know for sure. But this Flame Seed, I think it contains the path to the Fourth Edict, which the Arbiter of Ash claims is already upon us. And the Flame Seed, stolen by another creature we don't know the origins of. What might he use it for? To forge the world anew? To save it? For another purpose? Is he the one who returns the Ancients to us for some reason? We seriously have no idea at this point, but we do know the Ancients are returning, and with them, likely the Mothersoul, who I think had the power to fundamentally reshape Wraeclast in the Elder Days, using tablets, using her own powers, and, of course, the Edicts. It's certain they'll seek to do the same in the present day. After all, Wraeclast can't continue in this cycle of divinity and corruption, with the beast coming to life over and over with the seed of corruption. The Ancients might be returning to burn everything down, even if we succeed in killing the beast in Acts 5 and 6, which still aren't in the game. If you enjoyed that Path of Exile 2 lore mystery, that theory, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and watch this video on screen right now, which is some more Path of Exile 2 lore or a podcast discussing patch 0.5.